You're a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate deck.
What's up, YouTube? This is Brandon with Third Rate Duelist. Going to come at you guys with a post-structure deck, Invoke Shaddoll deck profile. You guys have been asking for this lately, and I'm here to provide. Sorry I haven't been playing too much Yu-Gi-Oh! Lately. My wife and I had a new baby in October. I've been pretty busy with personal and adult life. All the boring and unfun things. But anyone who's been watching the channel for a while has known that I've been playing Invoke Shadolls for quite some time. And then the structure deck that came out made this deck a whole lot better. I've been testing it for a little bit. I'm pretty happy with this build. I played it at locals yesterday. We played 4 rounds. I lost 1 round to Heroes. And I'll get into that a little more here in a second. Round 1, I played against Buster Blader. I 2-0'd that guy. Round 2, I played against True Draco. Beat him in Game 3 in time. So, sorry, Austin. Round 3, I played against Heroes. We went to Game 3. Game 3, I misplayed and couldn't OTK him that turn. And then he ended up outplaying me in the grind game. So, congrats, AJ. That's the person who was playing it yesterday. And he's gotten a lot better with Heroes lately. I want a rematch, bud, so that way I can, stomp that hero deck of yours. And then round 4, I played against Rockets and 2-0'd that guy. So I'm pretty happy with the list. It's pretty solid. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So to start off with the OG Shadolls, I am playing 2 Beast, 2 Squamata. A lot of people are opting to play 3 Squamata and 3 Windy. I don't think 3 is necessary. Maybe in a pure build I could see playing 3 of each, but in the Invoked build I don't think it is. I'm still opting to main deck Mathematician, even in this Invoked build. Mainly because Mathematician is still a light monster because of the clowns, and or any Shaddoll because I'm playing Hedgehog. So if you count Mathematician, I'm playing 5 copies of Squamata. If you count Mathematician, I'm playing 5 copies of Windy. And also the dolls are kind of bricks in hand. You don't ever want to see multiple copies of the same doll in your hand, which is why I don't like playing more than 2 of them. And then 2 Hedgehog, because it searches any of the Shaddoll monsters you need. 2 Falco. A lot of people have been cutting this card down to 1. And after playing this yesterday, I can kind of see why. I never really needed the Falco recursion. It came up like once or twice, but I never needed any more than 1 Falco. So this card might get cut to 1 for some other things. And then still 1 Dragon. Even though back row decks are kind of heavy right now, I'm still opting to only play 1 Dragon because this is a turn 1 deck. And, this does nothing to further your game state as to where rest of the other Shadolls do. But there is 1 main deck Shaddoll monster now that is worse to open than Dragon, and that is Ariel. She's the Garnet of the deck. I absolutely hate opening that card because you want to keep it in deck for the Windy play. So that's it for the OG Shadolls. For the new ones, I am only playing 2 Windy and 1 Ariel. As I said earlier, you don't ever want to play multiple... I don't want to play more than 3 copies of any of the Shadolls because you don't want to see multiple copies of these cards in your hand. And Ariel, I don't want to play more than 1 of this because this card is a brick. Hardcore a brick. And the nice thing about the Invoked variant, as I'm sure everyone watching this video is aware of, there is a 3-card Avermax combo for playing first with this deck. With the Invoked variant, even if I open Ariel, I can still make Alistair the Invoker of Madness, Kalga, and Winda. If I don't open the Ariel, I can do the Avermax combo, but with either a Mechaba or a Kalga, which is super clutch, and I did it several times yesterday playing first. Well, I did lose quite a bit of die rolls for game 1. I ended up beating them games 1 with this variant, so it can play second, but it's primarily built to play first. But anyway, sorry I'm rambling a little bit. This card is absolutely horrible to open. I hate opening this card, but it's necessary. Now on to the normal summons. That's it for the dolls. I am still playing 3 Mathematician. As I stated earlier, I am playing Clowns too. This is a light target for Construct. This is a Shaddoll monster for you to make your plays. It's super good, and especially in this Invoked variant, you can use the normal summon to make the Cloth Heap, and then later on when you special summon Tricklon back, you use that to make Alistair the Invoker of Madness. So that way you can search an invocation to make a Kalga or Mechaba. I don't need to open Alistair the Invoker to put an Invoked Fusion monster on the field. I really just need a normal summon. And then 3 Alistair the Invoker. Again, because you still want to see it, and you need to see a fusion spell turn 1 to be able to do anything. Because Windy and Ariel, like these cards are really good in deck. Well, Ariel, I guess. She's a really good in deck extender because it allows you to make the Shaddoll Link monster very easily with Cross Sheep, and it allows you to make big link boards, which is needed. So you don't need to play extenders like the Chaos Dragons anymore, or Nefarious Archfiend like Gary and I were beforehand. Because as long as you can fuse to do this play, you don't need to open extenders like that. At least that what I've seen in testing and in playing. But still playing 3 Alistair the Invoker, because you want to see Invocation, you want to see a fusion spell of any kind turn 1. And the fact that his dump effect to increase it by 1,000 is really good to help protect Winda and Kalga. And then I am playing 2 Damage Juggler and 2 Trick Clown. I know Damage Juggler went to 3, but I don't see a necessity to play more than 2. I have thought about bumping Trick Clown up to 3, just because once you dump it off of Shaddoll Fusion or whatever, it specials itself, and it's a really good extender, because then you make Cross Sheep, do the Cross Sheep play, and then you can link into Alistair, the Invoker of Madness, with the Trick Clown after you've normal summoned, which is really good. So I have thought about bumping this up to 3, because you want to see this in your hand more than you want to see Damage Juggler. But that's just my personal opinion. And then for hand traps, I am only main decking 2 Veiler. I might make some changes and take the Veilers out and maybe 1 Falco and the core to play 3 Gamma and 1 Driver. But I didn't really get ashed a whole lot yesterday. Well, excuse me, my Shaddoll Fusion didn't get ashed a whole lot yesterday. A lot of times I could bait it out with like normal summoning Alistair, and then adding, like if they ashed the Alistair, it wasn't a big deal because I would play my Shaddoll Fusion and then further my play. But if they didn't ash the Alistair, then I had 2 fusion spells in hand and I could go ham sandwich. So Gamma's good. I might think about pulling the Veilers out and testing it, but for now this was adequate. I was happy with this. And that's it for the monster count. Monster count's kind of heavy. For spells, 3 Shaddoll Fusion. You gotta play 3 of this card. This card is so busted playing second. As I said, this deck is built primarily to play first, to do like Avermax, Winda, Kalga, or Avermax, Mechaba, and Winda. But still, like, Shaddoll Fusion's a really good going second card, and even though I did lose quite a bit of die rolls yesterday, I did win quite a bit of game 1s, just because this card is so good playing second, excuse me. And then 3 L Shaddoll Fusion, again, because you want to see a fusion spell, and then be able to add this back to your hand, and then set it, and then El Shaddoll Fusion into Winda, or maybe Alkalone. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation of that name. The new fusion, being able to make that on your opponent's turn for an interruption is really good. And I am only playing 2 Invocation. I know a lot of lists are playing 3 Invocation. I don't think that's necessary because you're playing Alistair to search it, and Alistair, the Invoker of Madness, searches it. So I don't think 3 is necessary. Plus, you can't fuse into a Shaddoll monster with monsters on your field with Invocation. They have to be from hand. So that's another reason why I kept it at 2. And then I am playing 3 Meltdown. This card is so good, because not only does it search Alistair, but it is protection for your fusion spells against stuff like Judgment and Warning. And that is like really good to have a way to be like, hey, you can't negate the activation of my stuff. Super, super good. Also, something a lot of people might not know is if you control Magical Meltdown and you special summon Construct, make your Construct your last chain link. I know the known habit is to make Trick Clown the last chain link to chain block the Construct, but if you make Construct the last chain link, they cannot respond to the summon of Construct because of Meltdown, and so all of your effects will resolve, which is pretty good. And I am still main decking 3 Called by the Grave just because I don't like hand traps. I got impermed quite a bit yesterday, which is still fine. I was able to play through it. 2 games as I play through it. Austin impermed me 1 game, and I needed that mathematician to go through to make a construct. But other than that, like, I was able to play through a couple hand traps yesterday, so it wasn't too terribly bad. But 3 Called by the Grave still necessary, because if worst case scenarios, you banish them out of your opponent's graveyard. They need 1 Foolish Burial. If you're not playing Foolish Burial and Shaddoll, you're not doing it right, in my opinion, just because it's any light monster or it's any Shaddoll monster. I am still main decking the 1 core. This card will probably get cut. I did not need it at all yesterday. In previous builds, I needed the core because you needed to have at least 2 fusion spells to be able to do the Invoker of Madness Kalga Winda play. And so you would just dump the core off the second construct to add El Shaddoll Fusion back to your hand. That's not necessary in this build, just because of the Windy Aerial combo, because you'll make Shaddoll Construct the Link 2, and that is a fusion spell by itself. So I don't need the core anymore. So this will probably get cut. And then I am playing one of the trap. This card's super good. But again, like Ariel, I hated opening this card. But the benefit of playing Alistair the Invoker of Madness and playing this Invoked build is that I can discard this off of Alistair the Invoker of Madness to search Invocation. Then boom, it's engrave, which is pretty good and pretty nice. I'm pretty happy overall with the main deck. I didn't brick at all yesterday. I didn't lose any games due to me being like, oh man, I couldn't play the game because I didn't draw good. That did not happen at all yesterday. I lost games because, I was either outplayed or I misplayed. So I cannot complain. Obviously, I've still got some learning to do with the deck, especially with the new combos, because this deck has a very high skill ceiling, especially in the grind game. So that's something I got to keep in mind, especially when I take this to Kansas City in a couple weeks. And I'll definitely post an updated list of what I take there before we go. But let's go ahead and get into the extra deck. I thought the extra deck yesterday was perfect. I wouldn't change anything. I would make some main deck changes maybe, but the extra deck was just perfect. Playing 3 Shaddoll Construct, any less than 3 is incorrect in my opinion. That's just what I think, because in this Invoked variant, I can burn through 2 Constructs in a turn and not bat an eye at it. Granted, that's not as likely to happen now that the new Trap and Aerial's out, because they play so well together and you special summon Construct back with the Trap and then trigger Cross Sheep. But, excuse me, I think 3 is still necessary. 2 Winda, never needed any more than 2 of Winda. Card's super good for playing first and stunning the opponent. 1 El Shaddoll Alkalone. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering the name. The new fusion. I ended up cutting Shek for this just because recurring El Shaddoll fusion back to my hand, is really easy. And being able to set El Shaddoll fusion and then make either Winda or this card on my opponent's turn is really good. It's another layer of interruption. So like Mechaba and this is 2 negates on my opponent's turn, which is pretty nice. It didn't come up that much. And then also the fact that this searches any Shaddoll card from your deck to your hand. So if I absolutely need to, I can fusion, like if I open Windy Aerial, right, which is horrible. And I know Gary has done this before in testing too. You make the the new fusion. I can't pronounce her name. You make the new fusion and then link 2 into like Cross Sheep or Alistair the Invoker of Madness. And then you trigger this to search whatever you need, whether it's a Shaddoll fusion, do a Beast dump to draw a card if you want to. But it's pretty good. But I never needed to do that yesterday. It just never came up. 2 Mechaba, you don't need any more than 2, and this card's really nice to have. Being able to fusion summon multiple times and then put big bodies on the field and a negate's really good. Invokes Kalga. I made this card several times yesterday. It's just as hard for the opponent to deal with a Kalga as it is a Winda. And it's even harder for them to deal with a Winda Kalga or a Winda Mechaba. But this card's still necessary because there could be times where the only thing you can do is make a Kalga and pass. Didn't happen to me at all yesterday, just because I guess I didn't break at all. But this card still comes up. And then for the Link 2s, 1 Shaddoll Construct. I hated this card when it first came out. Like I was so mad when this card came out. I was like, 2 Flip Monsters, we get a Shaddoll Link that we can't even use, but then Burning Abyss gets, Cherubini. That's like the best Link 2 they could ever imagine for their deck. So this card I thought was hot garbage when it first came out, and it was until the structure deck came out, and then we got Windy Aerial. Windy Aerial and Cross Sheep make this card good, just because this card can recur itself back and fuse. So this card is the reason why you only have to open 1 fusion spell now. But it's only, this play with this card is only plausible because of Cross Sheep. This card is such a good extender. It's exactly what the deck needed for it to be viable again. Granted, now Cross Sheep isn't as good as Invoker of Madness in my opinion, just because this card is such a good extender and enabler. But this card is still extreme. This card is necessary for you to be able to do the Avermax combo and then make Alistair the Invoker of Madness for the Invoked plays for this particular build I was telling you about. But I cut Alistair the Invoker of Madness down to 1. Never needed more than 1 yesterday. I cut the second one for a Boral Sword, which I'm glad I did because Boral Sword stole me quite a few games yesterday. And then I am playing 1 Nightmare Unicorn just because it's super easy to make this card with Cross Sheep and Trick Clown. This card came up several times yesterday, spinning back problem cards and then OTKing the opponent. And for Link 4s, I played 1 Boral Sword and 1 Avermax. So the idea is the Avermax is for the turn 1 play where you go Avermax, Construct Winda, where you go Avermax, Winda Kalga, Avermax, Kalga Mechaba, Avermax, Winda, Mechaba. It's really hard for the opponent to answer that board, in my opinion, because not only do I have one negate, you can only attack him. So if they waste their one special summon on something like Pranker Tops to try and beat over Winda, well, now they can only attack Avermax, and then this card can't be targeted. Granted, while stuff like Imperm is still a card, they can, Imperm the Calga or the Winda. Then Mechaba probably won't be able to negate it because I only play 2 traps in the deck. But then I can still El Shaddoll Fusion out of the Winda into another Winda, or El Shaddoll Fusion out of the Calga into a Winda, which is really good. And the Boral Sword's in there for playing second. So this is a link for you make playing second. This card stole me so many games yesterday. I mean, it's Boral Sword, so I don't think I need to go into it any more than that. I wouldn't change anything about this extra deck. There was nothing that I absolutely thought I needed that I didn't have, or anything I regretted playing. So I'm pretty happy with the way the extra deck turned out, personally. Now we'll go on to the side deck. The side deck I might make a couple changes, but I played 3 Gamma Seal. Shout out to Gary for letting me borrow his 2 secrets because I'm a rarity whore. This card was super clutch yesterday. I Gamma Sealed several problem cards, but honestly I would debate on swapping this card out for a Lava Golem. You need your normal summon for when you play first. You don't need it as much when you play second, just because Shaddoll Fusion is such a good going second card. So I would debate on swapping this out for a Lava Golem. The Gamma Seal does just fine, especially against like Spiral. As long as you Gamma Seal over the Appaloosa, the Trigate Wizard's dead. They have an extra rec monster on the field for Shaddoll Fusion to be live. So the only real threat you have to deal with is Sleeper. But I feel like Sleeper is an easy card for this deck to answer. And then 3 Dark Ruler No More. This card's probably the MVP of the side deck. I Dark Ruler No More Heroes and was able to break his board and then end on like, a Boral Sword Mechaba with a Construct, and then have El Shaddoll Fusion set that on his turn I El Shaddoll Fusion into Winda and stunned him in 1. This card's just super clutch. It's good against everything. Like, it's good against Spiral. It's good against Altergeist if they've already got Multi-Faker and the Wind guy, Sequitos or whatever. You just Dark Ruler No More of them, and if they don't Judgment, you just play the game. This card's super good. And then 2 Mind Control. This was Gary's like last minute, hey, you need to throw this in there. And he's right, just for the same reason. Like, if you play against Altergeist, you just Mind Control the Sequitos so they can't bounce your stuff. Against Spiral, you Mind Control the Appaloosa, and then you have negates. It's pretty good. So this is just generically a really good side deck card. It answers a problem card and gives you link fodder. So I did this a couple times yesterday, but didn't come up too terribly often. 3 Twin Twister, just because the bane of Shaddoll is back row decks, as widely known. And so something like Denko isn't as viable, in my opinion right now, in the Invoked build, because you're already playing 2 normal summons, and in any kind of deck you build, you don't want to play more than 2 normal summons, in my opinion. So throwing Denko in there wouldn't be too viable, because then, like, oh, do I play a card like Denko to lock them out, or do I play a card to further my game state? So, like, Twin Twister and Evenly Matched are necessary right now against back row decks, and then Evenly Matched is just as good against combo decks. I evenly matched the True Draco guy twice. It was pretty good. So, I mean, Dark Ruler No More and Evenly Matched are probably the best cards in the side deck. Shout out to Gary for letting me borrow the secrets on these too, because I'm a rarity whore. And then the last card in the side deck is 1 red reboot for back row decks. This honestly could come out. My main thing about red reboot is I didn't want to ever be in a situation. Granted, it's one of, so this is going to kind of be gimmicky on my part. But I didn't want someone to be like, oh, D-barrier, and then I can't do anything if I don't open El Shaddoll Fusion. So I just want to be like, oh, I'll red reboot your D-barrier and then OTK you. Didn't come up, even though I really wanted it to. But that's it for the deck profile. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this updated Invoke Shaddoll deck profile. I know I cut the Chaos stuff out because I used to play in previous builds like BLS and DAB, but those cards became bricks. With the new support, I feel like this way is a lot better. Stay tuned for a combo video because I'll show you guys the generic like Avermax turn 1 play that I'm sure everyone knows about, but there's probably some people that don't. So I'll show that off just that way everyone has an idea of what Shadolls can regularly do, and I'll show what I can do with the Invoked variant with that. So stay tuned for that, and just let me know what you guys think. Later, YouTube.